Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Today, I want to talk about one of the basic questions that money people have been talking around for years. And I've never heard anybody tackle this straight on. And the question I want to talk about is, can you save yourself to wealth? Now, before we answer that question, we need to get a clear definition of what wealth is. And as we go through the video, you'll see why this is important. A lot of people's definition of wealth is enough money to live on when they retire, comfortably. My definition of wealth is when you can continue your lifestyle by making the same amount or more without contributing. That's wealth. Let me give you an example. When I was in college, they said, if you put $1,000 in a mutual fund and left it till you retired, you'd been a millionaire. And that's true. But, is a millionaire, does that make you wealthy? I don't know. That depends on how you live. To me, that is not wealth. It might make you rich, but there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. And we'll get to that in a minute. Now, what brought this home to me was, I did a video a while back on Dave Ramsey and the 7 Big Baby Steps. And baby step number 7 was after 10 to 12 years, you'll become wealthy. And at the time I said I agreed. I've changed my mind about that. Now I'm going to go through what Dave Ramsey says is wealth, then I'm going to go through what I say is wealth, and then at the end I'm going to tell you what, in my opinion, it takes to become wealthy. Now, Dave Ramsey says, yes, you can save yourself to wealth. You can save yourself enough money to build wealth. That I would agree with. But you can't save yourself to wealth. Here's a definition I want you to remember about wealth. Being rich depends on your ability to perform. Day in and day out. Wealth depends on your investment's ability to perform day in and day out. Being rich in the overall scheme of things is a short-term fix. Right now am in the process of working with my son so that he can do the majority of the generational wealth building. I just want to get him started, teach him, show him, and then let him do the building. Right now we're laying the footsteps. Now for me, I say no. You cannot save yourself to wealth because at some point you're going to have to stop performing, even if it's 100 years old. To which case, your money will eventually go away. It may take a generation or two, but no matter how much you save, it will go away. My definition of wealth is it's a long-term proposition. Most people, when they build wealth, do it with real estate. Real estate takes time to build the cash flow, buy enough of them, pay enough of them off, take care of them, reinvest the cash flow. There's a lot that goes into it. That's a long-term but very sound way to build wealth. So Dave Ramsey and I disagree on what it takes to build wealth. So I saw a show with Dave Ramsey in it not too long ago, and it showed his net worth at $100 million. And he talked a lot about real estate. But when they ask him about that, that includes everything. That includes his speaking tours, his books, his writing, newspaper, the video blogs, everything, not just the real estate. But he has built in one generation. He has built generational wealth, but it isn't because he saved it. It's because he saved it and did something with it, and that something is now performing on its own. So for those of us that are attempting to build generational wealth, what is it going to take? Well, to begin with, you're not going to build wealth without appreciating assets. And the only appreciating asset I know that will generate cash on a fairly consistent time for comparatively everybody is real estate. Now, there are some businesses like all the computer businesses and Google and all those, that they build generational wealth in a couple of years. That's true. But for the general rule to build real estate takes appreciating assets. It takes time. There are no shortcuts. Now, once in a while, a guy will get lucky and buy the right building at the right time in the right place for the right terms, and then, have a white knight come in and want to buy it and, chop it up into subdivisions or something and you get rich. That happens. But as a general rule, you need time. You need leverage. Now, when I was young, I misunderstood the term leverage. Leverage does not mean overextend yourself. Leverage means to take what you have and within a safe guideline, which, by the way, is a biblical way to get there, and keep reinvesting, and it takes time. Now, I'll give you a quick example of this. The Bible says that you should not owe money because the borrower becomes a slave of the lender. Well, when we were building our ministry, I realized rather quickly that I needed cash up front but I didn't have enough cash each month to get there. So I went very slowly, and I mean slowly. Like, I collected aluminum cans and all kinds of things, cash on credit cards. But once I got to a certain amount, then I went to the bank or the credit union, and I got a line of credit for a year. So let's say I got a credit line or a personal loan for $1,500. I kept $1,500 in the bank just in case anything happened. That way I was not going to become the slave to the lender. I could at any point pull that $1,500 out and pay it off. Now, the larger we get, the more properties we get, the little bit more cash flow we get, the little bit more that personal loan's going to become. As an example, this year we have 3 properties. I did $1,500. That's the most I've ever done. Each property will pay for $500 of that. So, and each property has at least $500 in their emergency account to pay that off if anything happens. I'm leveraging the cash flow from those properties in addition to paying the mortgage off. Okay? So you must leverage everything, not to the tilt. That's dangerous. But everything must be leveraged, even when you're in the growth phase not even if you're in the growth phase, but at every phase you must be leveraging. You must be able to save and live way below your means. I'm going to do a video here pretty quick for this year called How I Saved $40,000 on $15 an hour. I live on less than $1,000 a month. Everything else gets reinvested. And that must continue because once you start living at or above your means, growth stops. And you must learn to live frugally. And that's a lot easier said than done, because when you've done so well for so many years, you feel like you have deserved something. But you must be patient and live frugally. And you have to have self-discipline. Without self-discipline, your savings slowly gets less and less. And that's one of the reasons I do these videos, is to stay accountable so that I have to come to you and tell you whether we were able to stay disciplined and within our budget for the year. And when you're starting to build towards wealth, you need an income. You can't sit at home and play on mommy's basement and expect to become wealthy. You got to go get a job or create some income, some consistent income. And the more you make, the quicker the process goes. But at $15 an hour, I can promise you, the old saying is true. It's not how much you make, it's how much you save. And then once you save it, it's how well you invest it. And lastly, and this is the one I'm working on right now, and I ask all of you that have achieved wealth that you would help somebody along the way. I've needed help along the way. I've searched it out on the computer. Most people won't do that. So I've started taking a couple of people under my wing and I'm showing them all the different facets, how to be frugal, how to save, how to live below your means, how to invest, when to invest, how to have debt, how not to have debt, when is it good, when is it bad. There's all kinds of nuances, and I'll tell you one secret. Having money has nothing to do, being wealthy has nothing to do with money, believe it or not. Being wealthy has to do with your view of money. Think about that. Just because you have an emergency fund and an emergency does not mean you have to spend the emergency fund. 99% of the people don't get that. But once you understand that concept, you're beginning to understand about wealth. So the question today was, can you save yourself to wealth? In my opinion, the answer is no. Dave Ramsey says yes. What say you? You have a great day, a great week, and happy investing.